first first lab session for Python programming lab. So this semester we have 18 MSA 37, which is nothing but the Python programming lab. I'll be handling this along with Python theory. Okay, while talking about Python theory, I showed you some of the course outcomes, which is common for both theory and lab subject. Okay, that means we have not set any separate course outcome separately for theory and separately for lab. We are okay. We thought it as one complete subject which contains both lab and theory. Hence, we have framed the common COs for both theory and lab. And when it comes to evaluation, so I think you all know how the marks have been segregated, isn't it? Out of 40 marks, how it is been divided. So we do conduct two internal tests, that is test 1 and test 2, each one for 15 marks. That is test 1 15, test 2 and test 2 15. So that is over. So we are remaining with another 10 marks. So how to award this remaining 10 marks? So for that, so we'll be giving some creative assignment. You have to do that assignment and you have to submit the source code of your assignment. Okay, so that you'll get another 10 marks. So this is how the 40 marks is been awarded. Okay, so that is total internal marks of 40 marks. Okay, any doubt in this? So now you have the clarity about so how the marks will be segregated. Okay. So hopefully next month we'll be coming for the regular classes. So now until that time we'll be continuing with online teaching. Okay, now today we'll start with our lab set programs. Okay. So before starting with our lab set programs, I want to know whether everyone has installed Python in your computers or not. So I have received your assignments, okay, and still few didn't send the assignment. So that means that at least few of you have not yet installed Python in your system. Am I right? Hello, is there anyone who has not yet installed Python in your system? Vishal, Junja Singh.
Sir, I have, sir.
Okay, you all have installed. Okay, fine then. Okay, then shall we start with our lab set program? See, since we have installed Python, so I'll be using the editor idle. So we should go to the idle, Python idle. So that is okay. Before that, I'll share my screen. Present now. Okay, can you see the screen? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay, first let us see what is the first lab set program. Mm, Okay, look at the problem statement of our first lab set program. Write a program to sum all the elements from n1 to n2 where n1 and n2 are positive integers.
Sir, not
So that
visible, sir.
means as per the problem statement, we need to read the values for n1 and n2 where these two are positive numbers. Okay, so after reading them, we need to find the sum of all the elements ranging from n1 to n2. Okay, so whenever we want to read the input from the keyboard, we have a function called as input function. Okay, so and here there is one thing that you need to understand. What happens? It doesn't matter whether you are reading the integer or string value or character value, whatever it is. The moment you are reading from the keyboard, by default it will assume it as string value. So therefore, even though if you are entering the number, you need to do the typecasting. Okay, so that you will understand that it is a value of type integer. So for that purpose, here you can look at here. I'm creating a temporary variable n1 Okay, so you need not worry about the data type. You just declare the variable and initialize its value so that it will come to know. So what value it is going to say for example. So if you are declaring an variable and if you are storing some string value in it, so automatically it will be considered as string. And if you are storing some numeric value, it will be considered as integer. So, okay, like that. And since in this program we are reading from the keyboard, so we need to do that typecasting to the type integer. So that's why you can see here, I'm applying here int of input, enter the value of n1. So here what is input? Input is the function which is used to read from the keyboard. So that means we are reading the value of n1 from the keyboard and storing it in the variable n1. At the same time, you are converting the value what we are reading into the integer type. Similarly, we are doing it for n2. So we are reading the value of n2 and converting it into integer type and storing it in n2. Okay. And in the third line here, we have s is equal to 0. Okay. So s is nothing but sum. Okay. We are initializing it to 0. So the moment we initialize it to 0, the Python interpreter will understand that s is a variable of type integer. Okay. Then see, always whenever we say we frame a range, say for example n to m, or say for example m to n, that means m should be always lesser than n, isn't it? Am I right? Say if you are doing the summation of all the numbers from m to n, that means so m is lesser than n. If that is not the case, you need to interchange the value of m and n. So look at here. So that's what I am doing.
Excuse me, sir.
Hello.
Sir, font size ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ದೊಡ್ಡದು ಮಾಡಿ ಸರ್.
So font size.
Sir, it is in options. Configure ideals. Upside configure as in that. Sir, down. Come down, sir. It is their size.
Is it fine?
Okay, sir.
Yes,
Is it fine? Okay. Okay. See now, so we have read the values of variables n1 and n2, and we have converted them into type integer. Then to store the sum, we need one variable, that is sum. So actually we should not use the variable sum here because that is considered as the keyword in Python. So remember, whenever you write any variable, you should not take sum as the temporary variable because it's considered as keyword in Python. So hence I consider s is equal to 0, which is nothing but sum. If the value of n1 is greater than n2, okay, then I need to replace n1 with n2 and n2 with n1. So that can be done in a single line. That is n1 comma n2 is equal to n2 comma n1. That means in case if n1 is greater than n2, n1 is equal to n2, then it will replace n2 is equal to n1. Okay, so instead of writing two statements like n1 is equal to n2 and another line n2 is equal to n1, we can do it in single line like this. Okay, so the purpose is always the value of n1 must be lesser than n2. Okay, now we apply the for loop to do the summation from n1 to n2. Okay, for I in range n1 comma n2 colon. Okay, then after that look at the indentation here. So in Python, indentation is very important. Suppose let us assume you are going to start the body of for loop exactly from the for loop where the f is starting from the same column. So it will give you a syntax error, indentation error. Okay, so s is equal to s plus I. So initially S is 0. Say let us assume. So value of n1 is 10 and value of n2 is 20. So that means you need to do summation from 10 to 20. So in each iteration, one number at a time. Okay, so initially S is equal to 0 plus I. So I is 10 in the first iteration. So 0 plus 10 is 10. The second iteration, I value becomes 11. So S is equal to S plus I, that is 10 plus 11 in the next iteration. So 10 plus 11 is 21, 21 plus 12. So like that it will keep adding the values of S and I until it finishes this complete range, that is 10 to 20. So finally, to come out of the for loop, see here we have the print statement which is starting exactly from where the for loop is starting, that is F is starting in the same column. That means this print is not part of for loop. So using the print statement, we are printing what is the actual sum. So sum is equal to yes. And another thing here, as we use format specifiers in C programming, like percentage %d for integer, percentage %f for floating, like that, we need not use anything, any format specifiers here. Okay, just you can use, see here, just sum is equal to yes. That is good enough. You need not use any format specifiers. Okay, that is one more advantage in Python. Okay, now we'll run this program. Okay, run module. Okay, enter value of n1, n, n2, 20. Okay, and the sum is 145. Okay, so like that. Okay, like that we need to execute this program. Do you have any doubts? See, through this program, we are also going to demonstrate some of the concepts, that is how to read input from the keyboard. That is one concept. Then how to do explicit type conversion. See here. So we are reading the values and we are converting it into integer type. So that is one more demonstration how to do typecasting. So two concepts here demonstrating using this program. Students, any doubt in this?
No, sir.
Shall we move on to the second program? Okay, if you want to copy, I'll give you 1 minute. You can copy this. You can copy this or you can take a screenshot. Better. Did you all take the screenshot?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'll move on to the second program. Okay. You can see the font size. The second lab set program is input an array of n numbers and find separately the sum of positive numbers and negative numbers. So that means you need to have an array, insert elements such that it contains both positive numbers and negative numbers. But while processing, you need to find the sum of positive numbers separately and the negative numbers separately. That is the okay. That is the problem statement. 1 minute. Okay. So through this program, first let us understand how to deal with arrays. So in arrays we have one-dimensional array and two-dimensional arrays. So and also we know that array is a data structure which contains similar type of elements. Okay. So now first we'll deal with one-dimensional array, and we have another lab set program where we deal with matrix multiplication. So in that program we will see how to deal with multi-dimensional arrays or 2D arrays. Okay. So first let us understand how to create an array. So in this program I am going to create an array by name li. Okay, so li is an array. So li is equal to 2 square braces. That means to indicate that, so this is how you declare an array in Python. Okay, so array name is equal to square bracket. That is how we need to declare an array in Python. So then take n, enter the value of n, because n indicates the size of the array. Okay, then n is equal to input of enter value of n, then convert that n value into integer, that is typecasting. You can see here, just I'll highlight it. So this is nothing but typecasting syntax. This is how you can do the typecasting. Then apply the for loop to enter the elements of the array for I in range 0, n. Okay, that means up to it is same as writing for I is equal to 0, I is less than n, I plus plus. Okay, so here what is range? Range is a function. Okay, range is a function which we are using to accept the values within the range. Print enter element I plus 1. Okay, that means, so in the first iteration the value of I is 0, that is enter the element, it will print enter the element 0 plus 1 is 1, that is enter the element 1. X is equal to int of input. So input, you know that we use input function to read from the keyboard. X is equal to input and convert it into integer type. That is, this is the typecasting syntax. This int is for explicit typecasting. I think you know what is implicit and explicit typecasting. See, implicit typecasting means the system itself will do the typecasting. That is, if Python itself is doing the typecasting, we call it as implicit. In case if we are writing the syntax to convert it explicitly, we call it as explicit typecasting. Now this is explicit typecasting. So reading the value of x and converting it into integer. Then to enter that element into the array, we have a function called append. Okay, what is the syntax to enter? That is array name dot append of value. Okay, the syntax is array name dot append of value, so that it will enter the x value into list, that is li, that is array. And in the second iteration, it will print enter element to, once again read the value and convert it into integer, then using the append function enter it into the array. Similarly, until you finish up the range, it will keep asking you to enter the elements. Okay, then look at the beauty of Python here. See, in case if you are dealing with C program or C++, how do you display the elements of the array? You need to have a for loop. But here, you need not have any for loop to display all the elements of the list. Just if you use print statement and name of the array, it will print all the elements in single shot. Okay, it will print all the elements of the array. Now, our problem statement is to do the summation of positive numbers and negative numbers separately from the same array. So now we assume that while entering the values, we need to enter the values such that we enter both negative values and also positive values. So now to do the summation of positive values, I have the p sum, that is positive sum is equal to 0, and to deal with the negative sum, I have n sum is equal to 0, which is nothing but negative sum is equal to 0. So I have initialized the variables is equal to 0. What happens if you do not initialize the variables to 0? So initially it may be having some garbage value. So that is why always it is better to initialize to 0. Now, so how to deal one element at a time from the list? Okay, to deal with one element at a time from the array or a list, so we need to use the for loop. For I in name of the array, for I in li, that is for I in array. Okay, so I want to first check before processing the value. I want to check whether it is positive number or negative number. if value of I is greater than 0, that means it is a positive number. So positive sum is equal to positive sum plus I. So initially it is 0, 0 plus I is, okay, the value. So that will be 0 plus I will be stored in positive sum. In case if here the if condition fails, it will come here, then negative sum is equal to negative sum plus I. So like that, it will repeat this procedure for all the elements of the array. Say for example, let us assume you have 10, 10 numbers in the array. So this for loop will run 10 times. Let us assume you have 6 positive numbers and 4 negative numbers. So 6 positive numbers will be added here and the 4 negative numbers will be added here. Okay, then come out of the for loop. See here, this print statement indicates that this print statement is not part of the for loop because we have come out of the for loop, because we are starting it from the first column. That means we have come out of the for loop. Now print the values. The sum of positive numbers is p sum. The sum of negative numbers is n sum. Students, are you listening? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Anything you want to ask? See, through this, we are demonstrating how to deal with arrays, but especially one-dimensional array, how to create an array. So to create an array name is equal to 2 square brackets. Okay, that is good enough. And if you want to fix the size, you can enter the size within the square bracket. Okay, otherwise it is an variable size array. That is always advantageous. So it is always advantageous not to declare the size of the array, because we also know that Python helps dynamic garbage collection. So how that dynamic garbage collection works? Say for example, let us assume have declared the array of 100 size, 100 integers, but I am entering only 10 values. That means remaining 90 are unused. That is 90 into 2 bytes is 180 bytes is unused. Okay, in case if there is no garbage handling, so simply I am wasting 180 bytes of memory in my hard drive. So now since Python supports for garbage handling, dynamic garbage handling, so the moment I'll come out of the program, automatically it will clear that 180 total memory. Okay, whatever the memory that was consumed by the program, totally it will release all that memory. So in that sense, Python will take care of garbage collection. So garbage collection is always attributed to memory saving. So mute your speakers. Okay, now if you want to talk, you can enable the speaker. Anything you want to ask?
No, sir.
Okay. So that means you can execute this program, isn't it? Okay, first let us run. Go to run module. So enter the value of n. I'll enter 8. It is 8 elements I need to enter. Okay. I minus 3, 100, 25, minus 40, 30. Okay. Then minus 1 and 100. Okay. So now look at here. Look at the result. Here, the elements of the array are 5 minus 3, 100, 25, minus 40, 30, minus 1 and 100. So how we are printing this? Just go back to the program. You can see one statement here. Where it is, yeah. You can see this statement. So after entering the values, we are writing one statement, print of li. That means print of array name. So that is what printing this. You can see this. This is the outcome of print of li. That means Just by using the print statement and name of the array, we are able to print all the elements of the array at one time. Okay, and finally the sum of positive numbers is 260 and the sum of negative numbers is 44. Okay, let us cross verify. So positive numbers 5 plus 100, 105 plus 25, 130 plus 30, 160 plus 100, okay, 260. Similarly, negative numbers minus 3, minus 40, minus 43, plus minus 1, minus 44. Okay, it's correct. Okay, so like this, you can demonstrate the output and cross verify. Okay, while demonstrating the output of any program in any, okay, keep in your mind, so you need to always demonstrate the output. See, many of the times what you do in the lab is you'll input the values and you'll show the output, sir, over. So what is demonstration? Just now I demonstrated how the sum positive sum is 260 and how the negative sum is minus 44. Okay, that is part of your, okay, program execution. You have to explain that. Did you all take the screenshot of this program? Take the screenshot. Okay. Shall I go to next program or two programs are enough for you?
Sir,
Yeah?
sir, in first program,
Yes.
we
1 minute, I'll open it. Yes.
sir, there is no need of using for loop in that first program, no, sir. You can directly write it, no. Like S is equal to n1 plus n2.
Not like that. Say, okay, see, just you look at the output once. See here, I'll run the output. You just observe. Okay. Enter the value of n1. I'll enter 10. Enter the value of n2. Okay, 20. What is the value? Out sum is equal to 145. We are not adding n1 and n2. So in between n1 and n2, that is 10 and 20, there are numbers 1, 12, 11, 12, 13, 14 through 20. So we need to cumulatively add the sum of all these numbers. Okay.
Okay, sir.
We are adding all the numbers in between the range. That's why we need the for loop. Otherwise, as you said, okay, similar, just we can do n1 is equal to, so s is equal to n1 and n1 plus n2. It is not the sum of two numbers. It is, look at here, write a program to sum all the elements from n1 to n2. There is a range specified here. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Students, two programs are enough for today, or shall we continue with another one program?
No, sir, we will practice this.
You want to practice? Okay. Okay, fine. Okay, anyhow, the Python language is just like your shell script. It is very compact. The code is very compact. And one thing I observed from your lab set program is that there is no much emphasis on object-oriented programming. So what I request you people is, first, see every day if you finish two programs, so within 7 labs we can finish all the 14 programs. Am I right? Okay, then if we conduct 2 tests, 7 plus 2, 9 labs, and 1 practice lab, 10 labs are good enough. And remaining 4 labs, we can use it to learn new concepts which are also useful for your campus interviews. Is it fine?
Okay.
Yeah?
Okay, sir.
So I'll also teach you some of the object-oriented programs and some interview asked questions. Okay, so we can write the code and we can solve those, so that it will also help you to build your resume and it will give confidence for you to do to face interviews. Okay. Okay, that's all for today. Okay, you can practice. Hello, you can practice and let me know if you get any doubts.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, thank you. 1 minute, I'll see how many
Okay,
students
thank
are
you.
present. 1 minute, 1 minute. Okay, fine.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, sir.